The ban hammer has come down on Vietnam's VCS League this week, with dozens of bans being dished out to players and staff of all 8 different orgs in the league in perhaps the biggest scandal League of Legends has ever seen. Here's all the details. So back on March 14th, MGN Blue Esports faced off against Team Wales in the VCS Spring Split in a game which didn't appear to be out of the ordinary. But a little after the 28-minute mark, MBE with a 12k gold lead aced Team Wales in a crushing team fight. With 6 void bugs in their back pocket and facing an open inhib, the obvious choice was to just walk up to the Nexus and end the game. But they raised a lot of eyebrows by instead choosing to go and take Dragon.
They could have ended mid right now, right? But Volibear goes to blue. Why are they stalling till 30 minutes?
MBE did eventually end the game not too long after, but the incident had sparked a wave of accusations of match fixing. It wasn't that MBE had thrown a game, they won after all, but they had chosen to not win until just after the 30-minute mark, which for some people is the kind of suspiciously round number you might see if someone wanted to, say, bet on how long a game will go on for. After initially postponing a few matches while they investigated, the VCS soon opted to suspend the entire league until further notice. 10 days later, they announced sweeping suspensions across the league, 32 players and personnel from 8 different teams. The reasoning given was due to the discovery of what was described as unusual data arising in matches that have taken place. They did say the suspensions were temporary while they continue to analyze the data, and honestly, it is hard to understate just how crazy all this was and is. This is the league that has produced giant killers like the Gigabyte Marines and Saigon Buffalo, who have captivated hearts at Worlds and MSI over the years. Suddenly, their own league was announcing that every single team had at least one player that was now under investigation. Global fan favorites Gigabyte Marines released a statement in which they described the investigation as having highlighted significant challenges for the Vietnamese esports scene, and Team Wales suspended the contracts of Glory and Bean J, 2 players who had played for the org at Worlds just last year. The VCS Spring Playoffs went ahead as planned at the start of April, although every team looked significantly worse off after having to scramble for player stand-ins. Gigabyte Marines qualified for MSI but were quickly sent home after being back-to-back 2-0'd by Fnatic in play-ins, and at a certain point, VCS fans just wanted the league to announce the results of their investigation so the whole scene could begin to move past this dark chapter by figuring out what went wrong and how to prevent it going forward. No word came during May, but on June 3rd, earlier this week, the investigation came crashing down on the VCS. League officials announced a staggering 28 players had received bans ranging from 6 months to permabans. Rainbow Warriors were hit hardest with 9 bans, including their head coach being permabanned and the team no longer being eligible to participate in any Riot-affiliated tournaments ever again. Now, it's important to remember here that the VCS has been pretty tight-lipped about the specific rules that have been broken by players and staff in question here. They're not using the word match-fixing themselves and have only ever referred to actions that affect competitive integrity or them finding unusual data. This may be because there's not really a catch-all term that can describe what the accused have been found guilty of. For example, in Section 4.1 of Riot's Global Code of Conduct, they say all esports professionals must report any violation of the code of conduct to them, so some of the bans may fall under this: failure to report a known violation, which is in itself a violation. So there's a chance that this may have led to some of the bans, but for some in the community, it's been pretty clear that the majority of the accused are tied to match fixing. And if that's the case, the question for them has been, why has this happened? One suggested reason from former Gigabyte Marines analyst Molecule is that the money that can be earned from match fixing outweighs the average VCS salary by so much that the temptation grew to irresistible levels for some.
You know, if someone was just to say, yo, you're going to make an entire year's worth of your salary if you throw this one game, well, That's kind of tempting, right? Maybe even multiple years of your salary if you throw this one game, or if you give first blood, or if you lock in this champion.
So the bans have been handed out, which begins to offer some closure to VCS fans. Teams will replace their players and staff, will likely see new orgs altogether due to the likes of Rainbow Warriors being permanently booted out of competitive league. But for others, this all may be too much for the VCS to come back from. The league's reputation already took a hit last year after Team SBTC was barred from participating in the VCS following an unspecified violation of the regulations, but just like this time, the community overwhelmingly suspected match fixing was the cause. And this kind of scandal hasn't only come out of the VCS. In 2021, we saw a slew of players and coaches in China get hit with bans for alleged match fixing. The following year, Riot suspended 14 players from the Turkish Academy League amidst match fixing allegations. And earlier this year, Polish League Ultraliga suspended 2 pro players amidst accusations of win trading for violating a regulation which said teams are expected to play at their best at all times within any league match.
So as the game progressed, the Jace and the Lee Sin just became more and more suspect, just doing the craziest things. And obviously I think what happened is the Jace and the Lee Sin kind of bet on the game is the current guess.
For many, the VCS may have suffered something similar here, but on a scale we've never seen in League of Legends, a scandal that might be too much for such a storied and famous league to ever come back from. The public statements from the VCS suggest a league that is determined to root out rule breakers and become a stronger, more reputable league in the process. As far as anyone is aware, the league will continue as normal this month for its summer split, or as normally as it can. There's no question that things have now changed for the VCS. The question is, can they ever be the same again?